All right, what's going on, guys? This is Logan with West Desert Wheeler. We have got the Vanquish H10 Optic back out here on the trail. We're gonna go run one of my favorites, which is Mousetrap, and then maybe some extra stuff afterward. Mousetrap's pretty short, and I got some things I wanna talk about on this truck. Let's hit the rocks. But of course, this is completely different than the last time you guys have seen this truck. So we're gonna talk about the different upgrades that we've changed and made to this truck. Unfortunately, I've gotta focus real quick because we're doing this entrance to Mousetrap, and it is a hell of a side hill. It's actually really sketchy and difficult to pull off. Now, this truck has wide axles, and I'm hoping that comes into our benefit here. Just being wider makes vehicles more stable on aggressive side hills. But this still does have a fairly heavy cage, being that it is a molded plastic cage. And it's slipping, and it's slipping. She's holding on. Swampers are doing their job. We're going to talk about those more in a second. All right, it one-shot that. So very, very impressive there. You saw that low speed control. That is because I swapped out the motor in ESC to a Holmes Hobby Revolver in the 540 size. And I've got a Holmes Hobby V3 Crawlmaster ESC. It's their brushless silent outrunner ESC. So this is a motor where the whole outside spins. Holmes Hobby Revolvers. They are not a censored motor. They have a lot more pulls internally, so they actually don't need censoring. A lot of fancy scientific stuff. I don't know. John Holmes is a wizard. I just trust what he does, and he makes really good products. Particularly his motors. I love Holmes motors. Very nice. So we're going to pull our front end up on the wall, start our turn. And there we go, exactly how I wanted it to do it. It's gonna get tippy here in a second if she doesn't start letting go a little bit. Beautiful, lifting that front tire. There it is, nice and smooth. Up into the canyon we go. So along with the motor and ESC change, we also changed out our servo. So we did change out all the electronics in the truck except for the receiver and the controller. I do like the factory receiver and controllers in these trucks. It is a 4-channel controller. So currently the truck's still pretty basic. Just got front steering and your ESC. So I'm only using 2 of the channels. I did add some rock lights to this rig as well, but those run off a sensor wire plug for your battery, so it actually does not interfere with anything else on the truck. And originally I was going to film this video at night. I came out here and I had the wrong size pinion in this thing, and this motor combo did not like crawling. It was very coggy and it got angry at me. Lifting our front left there. Still lifting that front left. There she goes. But then the more obvious changes here are the graphics on the vehicle, right? These are hard plastic panels. So I just took the stock graphics off. I ordered these from Freaky Skins. And man, they applied really easily. They worked really good. And like, I'm no expert at putting graphics on small vehicles, but it was super simple and they made it really easy. Everything fit really good. If you want to change up the look of your optic, highly recommended Freaky Skins. And it's like FREQSKINZ, Freaky Skins. But they've got different liveries available. I went with Dana 60. I just like the blue and kind of the crazy graphic on it. Obviously, I'm a fan of 1-ton axle buggies. These aren't particularly Dana 60 looking axles. These are fabricated housings, but I don't care that much. I just didn't want Yokohama all over my car because I wanted to run tires that were a different brand than Yokohama. And speaking of tires, that's one of the big changes I made here. I put a set of my own WDW cut and shut tires on this thing, and I went with Super Swampers for this one. I've really wanted a set of my own Super Swampers for a while, but every time I'd make them, I would end up selling them. because I feel a little guilty knowing that a lot of people want my tires, and sometimes it just made more sense to sell them than keep them. Now these tires are almost new. They have one run on them. So with the Proline G8 compound, they do take a little scrubbing in to really hit peak performance. They're good right now. They're gonna get better with time. Other things we changed on the truck is the shocks. I changed out the shocks from the S8Es, which are 90mm shocks from the factory, and I put Axial Pro shocks on here. I had put a set together for, I believe, my Axial Pro, and I had pretty good luck with them not leaking. I put grease in the O-rings as I assembled them, like the kit grease for your transmission, and I didn't have anything leak, so I decided to give them another shot on this one. I also like their length. I think they're a little over 90. Maybe they're, okay. So their 90 amount of travel, you get the same amount of travel as a 90mm shock with the factory shock cups on there, but you can actually trim the shock cup so that it allows more travel of the shock. And so I've done that with these. And fortunately I was able to talk to Wyatt, who engineered the Axial Pro, and he gave me that little tip saying that I could modify those and get a little more travel out of them. I didn't quite get as much travel as I was looking for. I actually want to do like longer shocks on this and really make it articulate quite a bit just because it's a buggy. I'm usually one to go with more articulation versus less, but that's just kind of my style. I don't know. I like watching buggies twist up. Let's see if we can get turned around over here. That thing got some good amount of traction right there. It hooked up. That was a good pull, but it doesn't really lead anywhere. Now, one thing I have not added to this truck that I would very much like to is more overdrive. I'm going to do the lightweight transmission gears and get that 20% overdrive through there. And then I'm probably going to throw an underdrive ring and pinion in the back, just to get me up to that like 30% mark. I think it should be around 33% if we do that combo. Now these wheels are 2.2 Vanquish Machete wheels. Now they're loaded up with scale hardware and I think they look awesome. Great looking wheel, but these are a Frankenstein. I have 3 different brands of wheels put together to make these wheels. And why would I do that? The original Machetes came with like 30 or 34mm wide lock rings. And for 2.2s with cut and shuts, I actually prefer a narrower wheel. Nice control there. I prefer a narrower wheel with that, and so I had an old set of Integy wheels that had the same bolt pattern on the back side of that back, because it's a 3-piece bead lock. So the inside aluminum piece that clamps into your bead lock ring from the Integy wheels has the same bolt pattern as the Vanquish wheels. And so the only difference was the Integy wheels, being made in China, used metric hardware, and the Vanquish wheels use a 440 standard, I believe is what it is. So it's a larger thread, so I had to drill out every individual hole on the back side of those. My motor's getting a little warm here. I need front weight to carry me down here. Oh, it almost worked. Dang, we lost it. But using that narrower back half of the Integy wheel, that's a huge part of it. The Integy wheels are narrow. Well, it turns out the lock ring on those was the exact same width as Shift RC 2.2 wheels. And Shift RC makes brass clamp rings for their 2.2s. So the internal rings are brass in their wheels. Or at least you can get them as an option part. So I use the rear halves from the Integys. I use the exterior face from Vanquish because they look good. And then I use the Shift RC brass clamp rings internally on the front. So I've got 3 brands of wheels to make a narrow wheel and to also get a little more forward weight in this truck. This truck is not happy with me right now. I'm really trying to make it work hard. She's about to give up on me. There it is. It's hot, doesn't like it. I actually installed an electric fan for an ESC in this thing so that it could blow directly into the revolver on the motor. And it's just very annoying, so I don't run it on video. But I have basically an on-off switch I can use, and I just pop off the passenger door panel, and I can make this thing cool off, because I kind of anticipated this. It's really hot out here. I mean, it's mid-June in southern Utah. Pretty typically we're gonna hit 105-degree temps on the regular. So yeah, having an ESC or motor cooling fan in there, definitely not a bad thing to have. So while my truck cools off, let's talk about one of the things that I've noticed and seen online, which is actually very interesting to me, is that a ton of people are saying that this isn't a crawler because it says trail buggy on it. Well, in the off-road full-size world, if you have a trail buggy, that typically means that you have a buggy with 2 seats in it. And this Optic does have 2 seats in it. Now, yeah, you could go trailing with it. Is it the absolute best rock crawler? No, it's pretty decent out of the box. It's fun. You can modify it to become one. So this is where Vanquish has done a really good job of, some people think this is gonna be a go fast truck, some people think it's a rock crawler, some people think it's a trail buggy. It's all 3. The thing is, just like every other brand, they kind of just give you a decent starting platform. This one's a good starting platform, don't get me wrong, but you can turn it into what you want. And so for me personally, I love rock crawling. I have excellent rock crawling terrain. So that's what I'm going to do with it, is turn it into a rock crawler. So that's what I've modified it to become. And I think as a manufacturer for, you know, making RCs that people are going to modify however they see fit, going with that kind of neutral ground where this is like right in between a go fast truck, right in between a crawler, it can easily be modified to become either one. It's actually a really good spot to be. And that's kind of how I feel about it, is that it could become whatever you want it to become. And for me personally, that's going to be a rock crawler. All right guys, so I was able to actually open up that passenger door panel without moving the truck. So we're gonna see if we can continue on our line here. That back left loves to drop in, and you really got to try and get your axle as level as possible. There it is, but then you got to recover your front. That back left dropped in really far. We don't have a ton of overdrive in this truck, so she may end up all right. If you have a lot of front overdrive in this thing, I guess that's the only kind of overdrive we ever run, right? It will try and drag that rear under that ledge. Luckily, with a little backup, we're able to recover it. We've actually got our left rear low, which sets us up really well for the corner. So we're gonna try and continue to keep our front, or our left rear low like this, just like that. Now it's gonna let our front right climb that wall easier. Try and get a good angle of this. See how that bottom left dips down? The front right climbs the wall. And then as these fronts get in here, you can use that steering to square up the rear, and you're up and out on your way through the next crack. So this truck is just lacking options for forward weight in these things, which is why I figured out a way to put 2.2 brass rings in it. And then also with Reefs RC, they make a 777 servo, which is one of my favorites. I have a lot of 777s. They make that in a brass casing. So this is a servo on axle truck, and I've got the brass 777 in this thing. Well, it's not always easy, but we did get a drag axle through that little canyon there. As you can see, I'm not always perfect in mousetrap. Sometimes it takes some work. A little bit of KOH style rock bounce in there. And then this wall is steep, and it just requires wheel speed. That's the secret to this one. And it's nice and sandy. We've had some windstorms lately, so that's not gonna help us. Apparently we got that just right bounce to make my fan engage. as close as it gets. Ouch. It's been too close too many times. Well, rather than breaking my truck or hurting my $60 wrap any more than that for this one climb, we took the push of shame. That's all right. Well, I handled Mousetrap fairly well. The exit is always nasty to wider vehicles, and this truck has H10 axles with 475 hubs on 2.2 machetes. So she's got some track width to her, which putting these wheels on it, giving it that extra width, I really like the stance of it now, especially with the taller tires. It's got the cut and shut swampers on it, so they're like 5.3 tall. Just looks aggressive. This is always where things get really mean to these trucks. Nice, it's wide enough that it's going up on the top line. Unless it falls off. Just right. Wow, that worked out really, really nice. It hates Capra axles through there, I can tell you that. So you guys will have to let me know, did you get yourself an H10? Are you still on the fence? Still watching video reviews, deciding if you want one or not? A big talked about thing has been these sintered ring and pinions in these trucks. They're the same gears that they used in the Ford Ice as well. So it's not the first time they've done this. And it's the exact same part for the ring and pinion in these as the Ford Ice, even though they're different axles. And watching the Vanquish live stream, basically they just kind of say, well, if you add brushless power, you're more likely to break stuff, which is true. I wish that they would have used the machined ring and pinions in there. They're just better parts. But I also know why they didn't. It's a cost thing for an RTR. Nice, it made that look pretty easy. That long wheelbase really helped out right there. So without a ton of overdrive, I'm actually not super confident in this whole line set. But she might be able to pull up here. It's got the longer wheelbase to help. I know it's just a little momentum, it'd go right up. Nice. Just had to work that steering. It does have 6% overdrive factory from that VFD transmission. And the gears in the transmission are sintered as well, just like the ring and pinion is factory in this truck. Even if we get our fronts up, this thing will probably never drag its belly over. But not for lack of trying. Holy crap, it did it. All right. I'll take a lucky bounce any day I can get it. Our motor's about to get pissed off and hot again. Don't unload, don't unload, don't unload. Pull it, pull it. Pull, pull, pull. Come on, truck. A little wheel speed. Okay, don't unload, don't unload. Get it, get it, get it. I will be very impressed. Come on. Oh, motor, don't fail me now. Come on. All right, just got to cool off. Damn it. The top is right there. All right, it's been sitting here for 2 to 3 minutes, just sitting in that same spot. I didn't move it. So here we go. Let's see if she wants to go now. Here it is. Nice smooth crawl. I don't want to drive that back left underneath me. Then I got to turn back into it with the front. It's going to make this look easy. Come on, truck. No, that was bad. Okay. Forward weight's helping us there. Ouch. My VRD won't go straight out this crack, but my straight axle trucks will. Well guys, after many failed attempts, unfortunately it did not make the exit on that, but it got really close, so I'll give it all the credit it deserves. It still needs more modifications to make it up that one. Damn, that's a downside to these H10s. They like to smack the front edge of their grill. Obviously you're gonna hit your roof when you roll over, but it's gonna happen. Overall, the rest of the Freaky Skins wrap still looks really good. It's very resistant to scratching, but if you smash it down on the hood and roof, you're gonna ruin your wrap. Well friends, I hope you enjoyed the first modified run with the H10 Optic. It's getting hot out here. I showed up, it was 80, it was like 9 a.m. and now it's probably closer to 90. So I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know what you think of the H10 Optic. I'm a big fan of buggies, so I'm a big fan of this truck, and I'm modifying it to become a crawler. Once we can get these steer axles available from Vanquish, then I'm going to rear steer mine for sure, and I want to keep it on these H10s. They're super rad, I like them a lot. And that's kind of my direction I'm going with it. Should be really fun. I've also got a project in mind using H10 axles on something else. That should be pretty cool too. So get subscribed, stay tuned, hit the affiliate links down below if you want to pick one up for yourself, or even some of the modifications that I've listed down below for this truck. I would greatly appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next one. Keep the rubber side down.